Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, it's another late night. Actually, it's not a late night at all, but it's in the evening, so I call it a late night. 8 o'clock. Beth was on an all-night vigil last night, a prayer thing with the family, so she's crashed out already and has even slept in the car on the way home. So, what I wanted to talk about was a subject that comes up with a lot of people when they write to me and tell me that they want to retire in the Philippines. And boy, this really gets some people's emotions up. Somebody said to me when they saw that I didn't have, I said I don't have insurance. I don't have medical insurance. I can't afford the exorbitant rates that they ask for, and it seems to me that the payout may seem really iffy, to say the least. It doesn't seem that it's a done deal, and therefore I don't have any. I'm just going to read you a letter. Okay, now this is a letter that was written, inspired by the recent video that I did about someone that I know that went through an experience after having an accident. He was expected to pay and has done a deal where he's paying 55% of the medical expenses of the minor that was actually driving illegally on the road on a motorcycle. Well, it was kind of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, and he has ended up doing a deal, and it's on another video, so no point in me going into that right now. But as a result of reading that video or seeing that video, this subscriber, and as her comment is public, then I don't see any difference in me actually reading it. She has said, when she read about the fact that the man that I'm talking about was held in the local jail, not in the jail, he was held at the police station, just in the open reception with no one to guard him. He could have walked out at any time, but he was it was on his honour not to stroll. So he ended up sleeping on the floor, and the next day he thrashed out an agreement. He said, I'm doing it anyway in the end, aren't I? He thrashed out an agreement in what he would have to pay in order to meet some kind of responsibility, shared responsibility with the parents of this 13 or 14-year-old boy that was racing on a motorcycle. So, here's the letter that has prompted this video. As a result, and I'm putting in the little bit so that it makes sense to you, as a result of seeing the video on this accident, the sub has said, that's why me and my husband decided to stay here in the US when he retires someday. One of the reasons is convenience to go to the doctors or hospitals if we get sick. Second is the laws in other countries, especially in the third world, Philippines included. They have the most ridiculous policy, and on top of that, the government doesn't enforce it. So, people just do what they want. It's too bad. Philippines is the one of the most gorgeous countries, but still a third world. Don't get me wrong, I love my country. I want to retire there, but not until they make improvements. So, this subscriber is not going to come back to the Philippines to live, even though she loves it and would dearly love, as the letter indicates, she would dearly love to live here. Well, I wonder what she really knows about the laws of the US. This is not a bash the US video, But I wonder if she knows what some of the laws are. I wonder if she knows how badly some people have been treated in that country. I wonder if she knows how badly other people have been treated in other countries which are not third world countries, right? In France, in Germany, in Oz, in Australia, in the UK. In all of these countries, there are people with their stories of how badly they've been treated, how disgusted they are with the laws, how in the case of America, which I often read letters from people who say, I'm just feeling strangled by the amount of regulation. Now, I have often said about my trip to the UK, in which I found that the regulation, just the absolute conditioning of people in London in order to make it possible for everybody to live close together and still move about and get about their business. The regulation and the organization is extreme for me, coming from the Philippines. Now, everything in the UK is, it seemed, in London is done on a card, and it's welcomed. My son and his fiancée were very happy with the fact that everything could be done on a card. You can go from A to B in almost any form of transport on a card, and you buy the card and pay for it in advance. But everything is extremely regulated, and everybody knows exactly where you are at any given time. There are more cameras watching you in London, I think, than anywhere in the world, or so I've read. So, what is it that people are afraid of when they come to the Philippines? Well, they've had all kinds of warnings about how it is in the Philippines. We've actually showed a quite controversial video showing one of the public hospitals. It was a public hospital. That's where people go when they've got no money. Are there people lining up injured in the corridors, in the hallways? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And in that particular hospital that we showed the video of, we actually took a couple who we called the kidney stone couple or the gallstone couple. I always used to get mixed up about which particular stone it was, but let's say it was the kidney stone. The kidney stone couple came to us and said that they had been given a bill or a quote for an operation on the man's kidney stone, which he was feeling very, very sick about because he'd had it for something like 5 or 6 or 7 years, I think it was, and it really was very painful for him, and he asked us to help him. Well, by the time that we got through going around, doing the rounds, navigating the system with my warrior princess Beth, she navigated the system very well, and she found the public hospital, spoke to the doctor, and actually we got that operation for nothing. All that we paid was expenses. We paid something like, I believe it was 17,000 pesos, just for making sure that the family that were there to accompany the man had food, were able to go out, were able to sustain themselves during that stay in hospital and pay for any tests that came up that we didn't know about, that while we were not there they might have to meet the cost on. So they didn't have any money, and thanks to our subscribers we raised that money so that they could go and have that operation. Now, it was good medical assistance, and it happened in a public hospital. Now, we could have paid 150,000 by going to a hospital that was not public, that it was a private hospital. There they've got state-of-the-art facilities, especially if you go to the Chonghua Hospital in Cebu. Boy, we've been to that hospital. It's state of the art. It's like something out of a science fiction movie. It's so advanced. And according to the surgeon that we were going to use on that particular project, which never actually came to pass, he said that the Changhua was new and everything just ran perfectly. So, fine medical assistance is available here. Now, if you're in America, you've got to be insured anyway. So, if you're going to come here, you've got to be insured, if that's how you look at life. Someone said to me, "Ah, well, obviously, you are expecting your subscribers to help you if you..." I don't expect anybody to help me to do anything at all. I am here with my wife on a mission to help those who are less fortunate than us. So planning for my own illness is not on the cards. And this is my viewpoint on when people call or text me or message me and they talk about how they've decided to stay here or stay there because it's convenient for the hospital and for a doctor and the healthcare is good, and it's as if they've planned to be sick. Well, they may as well be sick because they have all the insurance and they can afford it, and they're right next to the hospital. They might even be able to walk down there even if they've got a gallstone and get the operation and everything's just fine. Is that the way that you should be planning your life? When I first came out here and someone knew my age, I'm 78 years old, someone said, "Oh, so when will you go back to America?" I said, "I'm not going back to America." And the woman said, "Oh, so you've come to die here?" So I said, "No, actually, I've come to live here. That's why I'm here." Now, if you are heavily insured up to the eyebrows and you have all of that, you're not going to listen to me anyway. If you are open to looking at some way of seeing things differently, you may be willing to listen. Otherwise, you're just going to, oh yeah, well, when he's sick, he won't be saying that, will he? Because he won't have any insurance and he's just going to die. Somebody actually said to me, "Well, let's face it, you live in the hills, in the mountains, and you can't get to a hospital, so if a cobra bites you, you're going to die." And that is true. So, I better not go out tomorrow because there's cobras out there. I may not go on the road tomorrow because I might get run down because, like my friend found, there might be a lunatic teenager who's out there on a motorcycle seeing how fast it can go and will crash into me, and I'll just be a cabbage, and my wife will just be a caregiver. I mean, we got all the bad news. There's so much to be afraid of. You're never going to have time to do it all. I actually read from Catch-22, a wonderful passage from Catch-22, in which the paranoid hero, anti-hero, tells about all of the things that you should be afraid of. If you think about it, how many products are on the market which will give you cancer? Cancer kills you. Cigarettes kill you. Now they've got pictures on cigarettes which show the most horrendous wounds. Feet with bits missing on them and they're all black and horrible. Hands with fingers missing on them. They've got somebody with a hole in their neck who's still so addicted to a cigarette that she sticks the cigarette into the hole to smoke it. There's no end to what you must be afraid of. So what are you going to do? Are you going to pick, oh well, let me see. Now, the most reasonable thing to be afraid of is medical, because at least you can get a doctor. And if you live close to the hospital and make sure that your your prepaid taxi card is up, and the doctor knows you, and he has your case history, and you've stopped smoking, and you've stopped drinking, and you've stopped eating those baked beans because they've got a carcinogen in them which will give you cancer. And when will you ever have time for living? And that's what I'm trying to do. And who knows? You may be looking at me and saying, I knew that would happen. I knew he would die. Well, yes, I am going to die. I knew he would die a horrible death. He got cancer. He got cancer in the how's your father, and in no time he was gone. Well, when I decide that I've got to die, and it seems like you decide when you're going to die, a friend of mine, may I digress, I don't usually do this, do I? I don't usually wander around, but a friend of mine worked in the morgue in a hospital, and the coroner smoked like the proverbial chimney, and my friend went to him and he said, I don't understand it. You do post-mortems on people who've died of all kinds of ailments which are from smoking and other diseases. Knowing what you know, how can you smoke? And the coroner says, after seeing what I've seen and knowing what I know, I smoke. People make up their own mind when they're going to die. They die of broken hearts, they die of cancer, they die of the loss of their long-time partner. They die of many, many things. And sometimes it's a very common thing to say, my father died, my mother died, because they were just tired and they just gave up. Some people give up eating when they get to an age which they're finding difficult to enjoy, and they die. You're not getting out of this alive. Make up your mind on that. But that doesn't mean that you have to go out and embrace it. You don't have to say things like, well, at my age, I might not make another few years. If you go around saying stuff like that, well, bye-bye. I'd better say bye now because you're probably not going to be around next week. You have to decide you're going to live right to the very end, and you push the very end as far away as you can. When you were a kid, you looked at your life as if it was a long, long road with no end. And then you walked that road. But then, for some strange reason, we all are in agreement with these strange considerations about how long we should live. And so, when we start getting into the 60s, 70s, 80s and more, we start saying, well, yeah, well, I haven't got too much to, I'll just buy this car, that'll last me the rest of my life. And you start making these decisions, statements, which indicate that you've already given up and accepted a limited number of years to go. Why do you do that? I don't know why anyone would do that. I'm expecting that I will go soon. I'm expecting that I'll die, and it could be as soon as 30 years. That's what I'm going around saying. Will I be wrong? Who the hell knows? Will you be right? I don't know. But make up your mind, it could be a lot longer than you ever think. So start getting fit now, start eating right, start having a happy life now, one that is worth staying around for. That's my view. I waffled on. I've gone on too long. It's 20 minutes, for God's sake. This has been a foreigner in the Philippines, venting, ranting, as I usually do. Thanks for looking in. Live long live happy. Live. Don't start getting ready for dying, for God's sake. Bye for now.